And yes, we are live. G'day everybody, Max right here, and welcome to the almost certainly last annual Great Wealth Transfer presentation. Thank you so much for being here. I'm just super excited. This is one of my favorite events of the year. It's the favorite event of my year, actually. I love doing this, and why? It's because I absolutely love making big, bold, ridiculous statements that can't possibly be true, and then methodically proving them right here on the board. And this is an absolute cracker for you, an absolute cracker. Here, many experts are already saying, look, the next year or two represents the greatest opportunity of your lifetime to go from where you are financially to where you want to be. I say it a little bit differently. I say it with specificity so you can hold me accountable. I believe that anybody, just the average guy without any special skill set, with just $10,000 can create $100,000 a year per year of income coming in from investments completely passively, and for the vast majority of people, that is complete financial freedom. So that is what we're on the doorstep of. And the reason I love this event so much is because this is an invitation-only event. I love teaching. I do teaching all the time. I do countless hours on YouTube every single week. I love teaching. I homeschool my child because I love it so much. But the reason this is my favorite event of the year is this is invitation only. You've come from somebody I know and I trust, and I know they're great educators. People like Jeff Berwick, G. Edward Griffin, David Morgan, somebody that I know, and I know that they do a fantastic job of informing you and getting you to the level where you know a lot of stuff. So I get to skip over all the easy stuff. I don't need to explain Bitcoin to you, cryptocurrency, fiat currencies, central banking, none of that stuff. You know what all of those things mean. I get to go to the really good stuff, the stuff that's going to put money in your pocket, the exact plan that I'm going to use to absolutely take a quantum leap in wealth here in the next 1 to 2 years. And you're going to love it. So here's my goal for you in this presentation before you leave. I want you to know the exact timing of when the 5 major asset classes, stock market, real estate, precious metals, cryptocurrency, and fiat cash, when they're going to boom, the exact when and why, when they're going to boom and crash, and when to jump between one asset class to the other to absolutely catapult your wealth. You see, I think what's about to happen is that while something is booming, right, something else will be in a big crash. And then at the very top, we get to jump from here and jump into here, and this one will ride up and that one will crash. And so we get to stack out. We get this one, we get to stack, and then this one, and we get to stack our booms on top of each other to take an absolute quantum leap in wealth. Now, I've been making this prediction for years. I've made a lot of predictions. I'm very famous on YouTube for it. And almost all of them have come to pass. Right, and I'll go through some of them a little bit later. You'll see what I'm talking about. But the big one, and I predicted it would happen in 2021. I said either 2020 or 2021. It's going to happen in 2021. I'm sure of it. And we're going to see some explosive times. So if that sounds like something you want to learn about, how to take a quantum leap in your wealth, you're in the right spot. Let's get started, because by the way, I do have to apologize. I got so much information to tell you. I'm going to talk fast, I'm going to go fast, but I got to do it to get through it all. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to waste 1 second on all the stupid photos of my holiday in Europe like everyone else does when they do a presentation. I'm not going to do that. We're just going to get straight into the stuff, because most of you know me by now anyways. It doesn't even matter. All right, forgive me if I look down every now and again. I've got a bunch of notes here to make sure I don't miss anything. And I do have to do 60 seconds of housekeeping, if you don't mind. I've got to do all the stupid disclaimers. No income claims are being made here. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just guessing, like, here's what I think is going to happen, and here's how I'm going to play it. That's what I'm going to share with you. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a licensed financial planner. I'm not a lawyer. I'm none of those things. I'm just doing this for me, and I'm going to share with it. And if you think it's a good idea, feel free to get involved. But I think incredible results can happen. With that said, I think the information in this presentation can change people's lives. In fact, it has been changing lives for years and years and years. If you were here last year and followed the advice, your net worth is probably up around the 300-400% mark right about now. So that's how powerful this is. And that is just the beginning. This year is going to be even better. Okay. So I highly recommend give yourself this gift of focus during this next hour. Turn off your phone, close your other tabs, close your Skype, close the door to the room, and absolutely give me your focus. Probably a pen and paper. Fantastic idea. Take lots of notes because this is the blueprint for how to take a quantum leap in your wealth creation strategy. So let's go ahead and do that. And lastly, right below this video, you will see a box where you can type a question. Throughout this whole presentation, go ahead and type your questions in here. Now, just off camera, I have Dan. He's the one controlling the feed, so you're seeing what you see with the presentation and things later on. But he'll also be collecting all of those questions and giving them back to me at the end. So go ahead and ask questions as they come up throughout this presentation. Go ahead and ask, no problem at all. I'll get through as many as I can at the end. Okay, with that being said, let's get straight into it. Straight into the awesome strategy here. So let's start. Let's start gold nugget number one. Gold nugget number one. I think what's really important here is I figured out it's true that you can become a guru, anything, real estate professional, stock market trader, Forex trader, Bitcoin trader. You can do any of those things. It's true. And you can go through several cycles and you can learn how to make money in the up market, the down market, the side market, and you can become an absolute guru in those niches. I found something that I think is just way easier, at least it is for me. I just focus on the macro level and I can figure out which assets are going to boom, when they're going to bust. And if I'm just always swimming with the current, when I'm in this asset class and it's booming, I really don't need to be the best investor in the world to make a hell of a lot of money. But then I'm smart enough to get out of there when the tide switches and the tide goes out. I'm not there anymore. I'm over here in a different asset class when it's about to boom. And so what I want to impress upon you is that you always want to be swimming with the current. And that's the opportunity now, because we get to stack those booms and and the current will take us a long way, a long way. That is what I'm predicting and what's going to happen right here. So one of the things I'm working towards here is I want you guys to understand that this is a very, very special time we're about to enter. We're within a year of it. And never in your life has complete financial freedom been so close. It is so close. And I'm going to show you exactly on the board what we're going to do here. But I have to have a very important question. I became financially free when I was 30, okay? And I came from a middle-class family, and I wasn't no silver spoon, like wasn't wealthy at all, but it was all self-made. And I know that the most important thing to my success was how I thought about financial freedom. And when I speak to people and ask them, oh, when are you going to retire? When are you going to be financially free? What's your plan? I know they give me an answer which I know they're almost guaranteed to never get there. They're setting themselves up for failure because they're not even thinking about it in the right way. So here's gold nugget number one. When I ask most people about, how will you know when you can retire? I usually hear a number like, I got $2 million in the bank, or $4 million in my retirement vehicle, or something like this. And I know they're doomed. They're doomed. They'll never, ever get there. They'll never feel comfortable. Why? It's best explained with a quick anecdote, a conversation I've had with my former father-in-law, but I've had this conversation with many people. I said, John, when are you going to retire? And I know, look, you're a 62-year-old, very, very successful lawyer, and you've got lots of money in the bank, lots of money in the 401k. When are you going to retire? And he said, listen, I think I've got enough money to retire, and I would love to, but I'm just terrified. What if I live to be 100? I don't know if I've got enough money to go last 40 years. And what if the last 10 years I'm really sick and the medical expenses are through the roof? I'm just terrified that I'm going to run out of money. And he says, but Max, I'm absolutely tortured by this because not too long ago, just a few months ago, I went to the funeral of one of my best friends, someone I graduated law school with. He's exactly the same age as me. He's 62 years old. He's had a great career. He worked all the way up until he got a cancer diagnosis. Then he went into hospital and gone. He didn't get to do the travel that we'd all talked about. He didn't get to live the life. He didn't get to do all the things and do all the things that we were waiting to do in retirement. And I'm tortured right now. I'm terrified to retire. I don't know if I've got enough money. I probably have, but I'm also tortured because I can't not retire right now. I think I'm good and I think I'm healthy, but what if it all gets taken away from me and I die shortly? So I'm tortured. And this perfectly illustrates the problem with thinking of retirement as this number. There's a second issue too, I'll cover really quickly. If young people, you might not appreciate this yet, but the older people, you'll get this. You start to think about legacy. It's like, well, what am I going to leave behind? What problem in the world can I solve? How much can I leave to my children? What foundation or charity can I start? And his strategy was to just save up a bunch of money and then just start living off it and eat off it and hopefully die before he runs out of money. There's two huge problems with that strategy, right? Let me tell you the secret to financial freedom. Financial freedom is a number, but it's not that number. Financial freedom is an income. How much money has to come in every single year for you to never have to go to work again? And it changed. When I was young, when I was 23, that number was $50,000 a year. If I had $50,000 coming in a year, I could pay my rent, live in a nice place, buy a couple of cases of beer and go to the beach every day. I was financially free. $50,000 would do it. Older, married, children, travel, it was a bigger number. $300,000 was the number I had to hit back then. And then I would be financially free. So it can be all different numbers. There's no right or wrong. Take a moment, because we're going to work towards showing you that you are within financial freedom. How much money would have to come in every single year for you to be not at all concerned if you lost your job, your business crashed, all other sources of income stopped? How much money? Like, let's say you owned a building and people were paying rent and just the money came in. You could go on holidays for 5 years, come back, and inflation's gone up. So the building's gone up in value, the rent's gone up in value, and you're richer than when you left for holidays. That's financial freedom. How much money would have to come in before you would be like, I'm done? Is it $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year? Whatever it is, go ahead and write that number down now. That is your financial freedom number. I'm going to work with it. I'm going to choose a round number of $100,000 here, so my math is easier a little bit later. $100,000 a year. But what is your number? Go ahead and write that down, because we're going to work towards that right here in this presentation. Okay. So the entire thesis of what I'm about to share with you is something that people just really struggle to believe. Let's just start with the basics. 50,000 foot view, right? There's booms, there's busts, there's booms. And typically, the boom goes for like 4 to 7 years. That's typical. Right now, we're in year 12. Like 2008 was the last major crisis where the stock market got crashed and stayed crashed for several years. Real estate crashed and stayed crashed for several years. Now, we had that big shock in 2020, obviously, with the lockdowns, but the government printed a whole bunch of money, banned it over all the problems, and everything's back. Real estate's back, stock market's back. You can still get out, you're not going to get hurt, right? So we're 12 years now into this, and a big catastrophic crash is very, very close to us. Just think, I mean, you guys know this. This is where it's like assumed knowledge. I don't want to talk too much about this, but you've got, hundreds of millions of people around the world just not working for a year. I mean, that stuff is crazy. You've got money printing galore. You've got negative interest rates. Capitalism is broken. Why would I lend someone money when if they might not pay me back, but to the privilege of lending the money, I have to pay you the privilege, I get no interest? That makes no sense whatsoever, none. It's not the idea of capitalism is perfection. Well, the current system that we have is completely broken. I don't want to say capitalism is broken. The current system is broken. Capitalism is good. All right, 4 to 7 years on the way up. Usually, it's going to 4 to 7 years up, and there's only 2 years on the way down. Crash, boom. Now, here's what I'm going to stress upon you. I'm going to prove this to you in just a minute. The cost of financial freedom at this point is 10 times cheaper than the cost of financial freedom up here. What do you mean by the cost of financial freedom, Max? The cost, how much money do I need to buy the building that have all the tenants in me paying me my money so I can go on holiday for 5 years? How much money, what is the cost to buy the income? That's what the cost of financial freedom is. Once you have this definition of financial freedom, you're not thinking I need $3 million in the bank. I need an income of $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year. It's very palatable, very easy to achieve. It's a goal that you can work towards and get to very, very quickly, especially right now. Once you have that in your mind, there's one metric that is all you care about. It's all you care about. And I don't know anybody else who uses this metric. I'm sure I didn't invent it, but I call it, I've never heard anyone else talk about it, cash flow on cash. That's the only metric I care about. When I'm looking at investment, do I put my money here or do I put my money here? All I care about is cash flow on cash. And it's given by this formula. The annual returns divided by the amount of cash I had to put in the deal. Annual returns divided by the amount of cash I put in the deal. And that will give me a percentage of how good an investor I am. How much cash flow can I buy for every given dollar going in, right? Once I know that, I can work out the cost of financial freedom. What does it cost to buy my income? That's very, very simple. The cost is your financial freedom number. If you want $100,000 a year, that's that, divided by your ability to invest cash flow on cash. Now, there's two components to cash flow on cash. One is your skill set. The better you get, the more experience you have in an industry, the higher you can invest, the better returns you're going to get. But that's not the big one. The big one is what part of the cycle you're in. Because at different parts of the cycle, you should have radically different results and radically different expectations about what your cash flow and cash return is. And what I'm suggesting is that at this point your expectations should skyrocket because it's extremely easy for your cash flow and cash returns to skyrocket, making the cost of financial freedom very, very small. And we'll go through that right here in just a little bit. Now, I used to teach this a bunch of different ways with historical data and looking at graphs and charts. It was a little bit dry. I since found a way more fun way to do it, and it's just through an anecdote. And actually, there's two quick ones I'll do. Something to appreciate. During a crash, wealth is never created or destroyed. They say, oh, we lost $1 trillion worth of wealth. No, we didn't. The market cap of something got trashed by $1 trillion. The wealth is the buildings, the businesses, the farms, the computer equipment, the vineyards. That's the wealth, and it's still there. The price of them got smashed, and you can acquire that wealth much cheaper. That's very, very different, and that's important to understand. To highlight that, quick example, and the bigger the crash, the cheaper it is to buy the wealth. That's very, very powerful. So, 2008, a housing crisis in America. Where were the 3 worst places in America? California, Florida, and Las Vegas. The 2 stories I've got from you come from both of those areas. The first one is Florida. A gentleman I know, he bought, in 2009, he bought 8 houses for $35,000. 8 houses for $35,000. With a year or two earlier, every single one of those houses was more than $100,000. He comes along a year later, buys them for $35,000. When they were rented here for 100, when they were 2 years ago, they were being rented for $1,400 a month. Here, they were being rented for $1,400 a month. It's something that most people don't understand, but rents are very stable. Over time, they just increase with inflation and a little bit above and just climb and climb and climb and climb. Very, very stable. It's the price of real estate that booms and busts and booms and busts and booms and busts. Why? When you get kicked out of your home, 2008 happens, there's mass unemployment, people are getting kicked out of their homes, banks are foreclosing on people. Those people still need to leave. They have to downgrade, they have to get into a different house, and they just have to pay rent somewhere. And so the rent market is very, very less volatile than the price of real estate. Very much so, as this kind of thing demonstrates. You'll notice he bought this thing at basically a 66% discount. He bought it like for a third of the price, okay? And I show that example just because I want you to see it happens at the small end of town, like $35,000 houses, and it happens at the big end of town, like hundreds of units, and it happens everywhere in between. So I'm going to use an example. Don't let the big numbers scare you. My second example, I think, is a really fun one. I didn't know this gentleman, but I was in a wedding in Cabo, and I met this guy, and he was a real estate developer from Las Vegas. I think this is about 2014 I met him. And so I asked him about 2008, his experience in Las Vegas, one of the worst places in the country, and he told me this story. And so he told me about one particular development he had. We're going to go ahead and call him Guy 1. And in 2004, he goes ahead and builds a development. And it's a $25 million development. I think it's like 250 units or something like that. Maybe it must have been more actually for 25 million. Anyway, $25 million development. And he puts down $4 million in deposit, and he borrows $21 million from the bank. He goes ahead and builds this thing and then fills it up with tenants and puts a management team in place, puts a maintenance team in place, puts a big bow on it, and then goes off to his new development, right? Back here at this development, again, I'm talking to him, so I know what it was doing. It was earning $2 million per year in what's called net operating income. If you're not familiar with this term, it means all of the income from all of this thing, the rents coming in, add it all up, take away all of your expenses, management fees, maintenance fees, the repair crew, the new toilet you had to buy in the broken apartment, all that stuff. Everything, what do you have left? Everything except your financing costs, your mortgage repayments, everything except that. So it's $2 million coming in from that, right? Now, he had, on his $21 million of debt that he borrowed from the bank, he paid $1.5 million back to the bank every year in interest, right? So we can do some simple math and see that he was putting $500,000 in his pocket. 2 million minus 1.5 million is $500,000. 2008 comes along, bank calls him up. Hey, Guy 1, we love you as a customer. You've never missed a payment. You're paying off your loan. You're crushing it. You're doing really well, but I got some bad news. The market has changed, and we don't think your building is worth $25 million anymore. We think your building is worth $14 million anymore, and you've got a problem. You owe us $21 million and you're only giving us $14 million of security, this building. You need to stick in $10 million in the next 3 months, or we're going to foreclose on you and take your property. And he had 10 developments like this, and the bank, he gets hit all at once, he's got to put in $10 million on all of them. He managed to save about half of the properties, and the other half he just let the banks take. This is the story of one of the ones he let the banks take. Now, a lot of people say, why would the banks do this? He's paying the mortgage. Why do they call him up and do this to him? It's very simple. During a crash, when everything crashes, everything's in the newspaper, the politicians are allowed to do things they're not allowed to normally do, namely bailouts. If this bank says he forces them to sell, forecloses off him, get this thing off our books and declare a loss. And then we run to the government and say, hey, we lost a lot of money. Who could have seen 2008 happening? Bail us out. And the government gives them billions of dollars. If they hold this on their books for 3, 4, 5 years, it's now 2014, you can't run to the government and ask for a bailout. You're not going to get it. The political will isn't there. It's only, the politicians have got to do something to fix this. And so they're incentivized to get all this trash off their books and just liquidate it, even though this guy's paying. He probably could have just wrote it out, kept paying, it would have been no problem. But the banks are incentivized to foreclose and destroy this. And so they do. And that is what they did. And so, here's where the story gets incredible. In 2009, guy 2 comes along. And he buys this off the bank in foreclosure. And here's what he does. He buys it for $7 million. Now, I don't know Guy 2, and I'm going to make a few assumptions about how he financed it, but I know Guy 1, and I know all these numbers are true. Guy 2 comes along, I'm going to say he puts in a 20% deposit, so he puts in 1.4 deposit, he borrows the remaining 80%, he's got 5.6 million as a loan. Now, here's the thing. His net operating income for this building, it's still full of tenants, they're still paying, and his net operating income is still $2 million. His rents might have came down a little bit, his rents might have came down a little bit, but not significantly. And the interest rates in 2009 are about 3% less than they are in 2004, because there's just been a crash, so they drop interest rates. So maybe rent's a little bit less, I'm not going to worry about it, but he's also going to get interest a lot more. I'm going to call those a wash and just let it go for simplicity. Okay, but he does only have $5.6 million in debt compared to this guy who has $21 million in debt. So if he's paying $1.5 million on his $21 million, we said we'd assume it's the same interest rate, that means he's paying about $400,000 in interest on only 5.6 instead of 21, right? So 2 million minus 400,000 on his interest costs, and all of a sudden, this guy is banking $1.6 million every year from the same property. And I want you to notice the price here. 7 million compared to 25 million. It's really close to about a 2/3 discount, right? Just like the guy in Florida with the single family residence. It happened all the way through the spectrum, right? Very, very consistent in those horrible places. Florida, Vegas, California. All right. So this is what happened. This is 2004, this is 2009. My claim is that the cost of financial freedom in 2009 is nearly 10 times cheaper than the cost of financial freedom in 2004. In 2007, it's a joke. We'll get to it in a minute. So let's go ahead and use our formula. Let's say, because maybe we don't want to buy a $25 million thing. Our financial freedom goal is just $100,000. So we're going to work towards how much does it cost to buy $100,000 income in 2004 versus 2009. Okay, first thing we do, step 1, work out our cash flow on cash returns. So, guy 1, cash flow on cash equals the annual returns. Well, he puts $500,000 in his pocket. Divided by the amount of cash he puts in the deal. He put $4 million in. 500 divided by 4 million, it's an eighth, so it's about 12.5%. Let's just call it 12% for round numbers. Guy 1's cash flow on cash abilities in 2004 can give him a 12% cash flow on cash return from his investment. Okay? So what's the cost of financial freedom? If his financial freedom number was $100,000, the cost of financial freedom is equal to his financial freedom number, $100,000, divided by his cash flow and cash abilities, 12%, and it's equal to around about $800,000. And that's kind of like now, right? If you were going to look to buy an apartment building to give you $100,000, and after the mortgage and after all the expenses, you probably have an $800,000 deposit to maybe buy, a $3 or $4 million building, and you can do that. That's a kind of like what it is right now. But let's see what happened in 2009. What was this guy's cash flow on cash return? It's given by cash flow on cash is equal to the annual returns. He pulls $1.6 million from this building the day he gets it, divided by the cash he put in the deal. He only put in 1.4. You do that and it's around about, it's a little bit more than 110%. His cash flow on cash abilities is 110%. Okay, let's finish this off. The cost of financial freedom for this guy is his financial freedom number, we're assuming $100,000, divided by his cash flow and cash abilities, 110%. So divided by 110%, it's equal to something pretty close to $90,000. The cost of financial freedom to buy a building that'll put $100,000 in your pocket is $90,000 out of pocket in 2009. In 2004, it cost $800,000, nearly 10 times more expensive to buy financial freedom in 2004 and 2009. But what about 2007? What about 2008? I'd say, you remember 2009, 2010, you're driving down the freeway and there's these big concrete shells, right? What happened? The guy started building in 2008. He puts in his $4 million deposit. He starts building. He's only spent $2, $3, $4, $5 million. The bank calls him up and says, hey, we've revalued it. You've got to put in $10 million more. Developer just walks away. He made 0% return. It's impossible to get your financial freedom out right now because the rug's about to get pulled out from underneath you, just like happened in 2008. The secret sauce is to sit back and just wait and come in and buy. After all the work is done, you come in and buy financial freedom for pennies on the dollar. Let's take a look at the skill sets of these two guys. This guy is a real estate developer of 250 plus apartments. He is one of the most talented people in the entire economy. He has to go and study the area, find a good parcel of land, maybe amalgamate several parcels of land. Then he's got to do the research. What should he build it? Should it be a cinema? Should it be a retail? Should it be a retirement village? Should it be an apartment block? Then he's got to figure out what the market wants and decide to build it. Then he's got to hire an architect, create a vision, get it done. Then he's got to take it to city. He's got to get to the environmental protection nonsense. He's got to bribe God knows how many people at city council. Then what has he got to do? He's got to use his marketing. No, he's got to get the thing built. He's got to go through construction crews, trade unions, supply shortages, embargoes in Iran, that's where he was getting his windows from, and all the headaches that come up with building this thing. Then you get it built. Now you've got to use your marketing expertise. Now you've got to get people, tenants in there. Then you've got to use your management expertise. You've got to hire a management team. You've got to hire a maintenance crew. You've got to put it all up, tie a big bow on it, just so he can make 12% and move on to his next project and do it all again. What skill set does this guy have? He didn't build anything. The building's built. He didn't hire anyone. The management team's there. The maintenance crew's there. It's a well-oiled machine that this guy has built, and it spits off $1.6 million at 110% cash flow on cash. This guy has one skill set. He understands the macro, and he only swims with the current. That's his skill set, right? He doesn't need to do anything. This guy needs to be an absolute genius to be able to produce 12% and these kinds of returns. This guy just needs to know when will this market boom, when will that market boom, and be in the right place at the right time. If you want to take a screenshot of that, I'm about to rub it off, so go ahead and do that right now. And guy, this is so exciting. I do this every year, and I re-excite myself. It's mind-blowing what can happen here. And the bigger the crash, the bigger the opportunities. right? I'll give you some famous ones. Let's go back to Paris Hilton's grandfather. During the peak of the Great Depression, from 29 to 32, he bought 4 hotels. Every single one of them was at 100% cash flow. Not cash flow on cash, cash flow. Meaning, if it was bringing in $2 million every year after all the expenses, he bought it for $2 million. Imagine buying like a big apartment block for $2 million, and after a year, let's call it 13 months with interest, you've paid it off and you now own it debt-free. Hilton did that 4 times at the peak of the Great Depression and created the foundation for what became the Hilton Hotel dynasty. And it doesn't just happen in real estate. If you don't like real estate and stocks is your flavor, no problem, you can do it in stocks. Probably one of the most famous examples in stocks, because what happens when the stock market gets crashed in these big times, there's still amazing companies out there, Amazon, Apple, they're sitting around with hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank. What are they going to do? They're going to be there. If you can just get a part of the company for super cheap, you want to do it. Very often these companies, to support their share price so it doesn't crash too far, they start paying out big dividends. Not all of them, but some of them. You only need to find 1 or 2. And if you can find a company it's a great company, you know it's going to be around for decades, but the price got smashed, you can come in and buy it for pennies, and all of a sudden those dividends are just explosive returns. Best example of that I think I know. This will be the father of President John F. Kennedy, Joseph Kennedy. Again, Great Depression. 45 days before Black Tuesday, he sells everything he has on the stock market. And then within the next 2-3 years, he buys it all back up down here. And he has accumulated 45 times more wealth, more shares in companies than when he sold. He multiplied his wealth 45 times by stepping to the sideline, not getting hurt, and coming in, and then just scooping up the bargains for pennies on the dollar. I know I've got a very educated crowd here. You guys are probably saying, yeah, but he had insider information. Yeah, you're right, he probably did. But the point is valid. The point is valid. All you have to do is arrive at this point with your psychology intact. Number one, don't be crying in your Cheerios. Just don't do that. Have a good psychology, because everyone else is crying in their Cheerios. If you've got the psychology to act, that's actually all you need. But if you can show up with a shit ton of money, well, let's do that. Let's do that. So let's work out. See, I'll show you that in a second. How much money do you need to arrive at this point to buy your financial freedom? Well, the question becomes, do you think you can be guy number 2? Can you show up and buy some single family residences, or maybe a 4-plex or an 8-plex or a 10-plex, whatever it needs to be, so that you can buy income? Can you show up and just get property at 100% cash flow on cash return? Can you be that guy? I think everybody can. Every single person, because you don't need to do anything. You just show up and buy something that's spitting off cash for pennies on the dollar. I believe every single person here can do that. So if you want to do that, if you believe you can be guy number 2, and buy something after the crash with 100% cash flow on cash return, the question is, how much money will you need? Well, I'm going to use this example, but I want you to use your financial freedom number. I'm going to use this. $100,000 of income was the financial freedom number I used, divided by, let's not say 110% because it's difficult, let's say we just get 100% cash flow on cash return. Well, any number divided by 100% is the same number. Meaning, at this point, if you have $100,000, you can buy $100,000 per year income. If your financial freedom number was $300,000, then you need $300,000 at this point to buy $300,000 worth of income. If your thing was $50,000, you'll need $50,000 here, right? It is so incredibly cheap to buy that financial freedom. Whew, guys, I hope you're excited. I hope you're excited, because this is playing out right now when we're within this year. And I've been predicting it for a long time, and it is finally here, and it is coming in. So we know whatever your financial freedom number is, that's how much money you need here to buy your financial freedom. Let's go to the last step. We're up here. What do we need to do to arrive at this point with that money? How can we go ahead and get that money? Well, there's one very, very obvious and cool thing that's happening right now. For those of you who don't know, Bitcoin has a 4-year cycle. I've been involved in Bitcoin since 2012. When I got involved in Bitcoin was $12 in 2012. And then at the very end of 2012. And then in the next little bit, it goes up to $1,200 in 2013. Ready? 2013, Bitcoin goes up 100x, $12 to $1,200. And then it has a 4-year cycle. For the next 2 years, it comes down, crashing down, and then kind of craters out. Comes down here to around about, I think it's like $200, something like that. And then comes racing back up here all the way to 2017 to $20,000. 2017. It then has a cataclysmic crash and goes all the way down to about 3K, something like that. And now, and I've been telling people here, and here, and here, and here, and here, get on Bitcoin for the love of God. It has a 4-year cycle and it's about to come running back. Now, what is the price of Bitcoin? 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, up and down like a yo-yo. But we know where, I think I know where it is going. It is going to a very, very good place because later this year, the 4-year cycle, 2013, it goes up 100x. 2017, this is 100x, but a lot of it happened in 2016. So arguably it's 100x from the bottom. But in 2017, I think it was a 20x. And then this year, 2021, I'm expecting this thing to go up. Well, this is what I'm very, very famous for. In fact, when you signed up for this webinar, you probably saw a video of some of my historical predictions that are published on YouTube, date stamped on YouTube. I can't fake that kind of thing. They're out there for me to see, for you to see. And I just had some amazing predictions along the way. But in May of 2019, I made a video predicting the price of Bitcoin in May of 2020. And at the time, I think the price of Bitcoin was 5K when I made this video. And I said, look, this is like the equivalent of 2016. It's going to have a good year. I said the price of Bitcoin was going to triple. And I said the price of Bitcoin in May of 2020 was going to get to 15K. It got to 10K. Okay? Yeah, it doubled instead of tripled. I think I did all right. In that same video in May 2019, I said that the real action is going to happen in 2021. And by May of 2021, the price of Bitcoin would be $100,000. And before the end of the year, it would get to $200,000. Now, in May of 2020, I think it was May, but in 2020, I updated this. It was after COVID. It was after the lockdowns. And I was like, really? The whole planet's going to shut down? They're going to destroy the economy that much? I went, whoa, whoa, whoa. $200,000 is not even close to enough. I said Bitcoin's going to get, I updated my prediction to Bitcoin is going to get to $500,000. Now, we'll see how well I do here for this 100K. I don't know. Maybe it gets to $500,000. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it only gets to 100 or 200, 300, 400. I don't know exactly. We'll have to see if how accurate my predictions are this time. They've been extremely accurate in years gone by. But let's for a minute just be playful. Let's say it doesn't get to 400, but let's say it gets to, it doesn't say it to 500, but let's get to 400. Let's get all of this out of the way. 400K. Look, what's the price of Bitcoin today? Look, for round numbers, I'm just going to use $40,000. It's up and down like that. By the way, if you're one of those people who worry about Bitcoin's volatility, listen, if you're going to sell it next month, Bitcoin's volatile. It's a pain in the butt. If you have a 2, 3, 4 year horizon, Bitcoin is boringly and predictably spectacular, right? There's never been a 4-year period where Bitcoin didn't go up, just like 1,000%, pardon me. It's never happened. So yeah, if you plan to have it for a few years, and because of the 4-year cycle, becomes very predictable. 2013, 2017, 2021, they're the magic years. They're what happens. By the way, if you don't know why, I've got a whole video series on this on YouTube. It's called because of the Bitcoin halving. But that's one of those things that I'm talking to a very educated crowd here. I think most of you guys are going to know that, and I just don't have the time to go back to it. So the reason it happens is called the Bitcoin halving. We're going to move on. But let's say my prediction is right, and let's say Bitcoin goes up 10x. Well, if we want $100,000 here, or whatever your financial freedom number is, to buy your financial freedom, how much money here do we need to put in Bitcoin? And the answer is divided by 10, because it's going to go up 10x possibly. So if with $10,000 invested in Bitcoin here, you ride the Bitcoin bubble up. And it should be both somewhere around the $100,000 mark here. At that point, you sell because at the same time, the real estate market got decimated and is at the bottom. And then you come in and buy real estate, and for pennies on the dollar, you now ride up the real estate market and you have bought your financial freedom. $10,000 potentially turns into $100,000 of Bitcoin. If the real estate market crash has happened like I anticipated has happened by that time, that $100,000 can now go into real estate at a 100% cash flow and cash return, and you have now purchased $100,000 per year of residual passive income. That is how I think it is going to play out. Again, guys, I hope you guys are excited by what is happening here, because I think it's just relatively easy to see. I mean, I saw it 3, 4, 5 years ago, and I've been teaching it ever since. Now, had you have followed my advice, let's wrap all this up, put a big bow on it, okay? My advice this year is exactly the same as my advice last year if you watched the presentation. The number one asset you need to be in right now, in my opinion, is Bitcoin. The reason being, Bitcoin is an insurance on cataclysmic failure of government officials running the economy. If I'm a 25-year-old healthy person who doesn't smoke, the premium for my life insurance is very low, right? I can buy Bitcoins for $10. In 2013, people didn't appreciate just how horrific the government was at running things, right? Now I think they have a little bit. You could buy Bitcoin for $10. At the beginning of the year you could almost, right? As things have progressed, throughout all the different things that are happening, the corruption, the trillions of dollars worth of spending and money creating and all the things, the lockdowns, no one's allowed to go to work, all of this stupidity, the premium for insurance has skyrocketed. The same way if an 85-year-old serial smoker whose profession is a skydiving instructor goes to get life insurance, the premium is extraordinary. The Bitcoin is the reflection of the trust in the system. The more it goes up, it is the canary in the coal mine. It is the cost of insurance is exploding, and it has every right to. Gold should be doing it as well, by the way, but it's a more manipulated market. So, number one thing that you should be in right now, in my opinion, Bitcoin. Had you taken my advice last year, your net worth would be up something like 300-400%. I think actually 400%. I think it's even better. The number two thing you should be in my opinion, precious metals. And I would suggest silver is a better bargain than gold. I said that last year too. Since then, this one's up 100%. It's doubled in value. Gold, I think, up 20%. Right, doing very, very well. And the third one, this is the one that I always get the gasp. If I could hear you, you'd gasp in a moment. Fiat, specifically US dollars. It's okay to be in fiat and US dollars for a very short amount of time. You're thinking, what? They're printing trillions of dollars. How could you possibly say be in fiat? Listen, I agree with you, and I think it will collapse sooner rather than later, but timing. What will happen first is is the stock market and real estate market will get destroyed. Absolutely smashed first. And in response to that, they will print the trillions of dollars, and then this will get destroyed. So you can be on the sidelines in this for a short amount of time, but I wouldn't be in there for very long. Okay? So that's my formula for how to play it right now. Wait for the real estate market and stock market to crash, and then you can come in and buy cash flow. And I got to say, this hurts my heart. Remember I told you the story? I was going to be financially free no matter what. I wanted that income, even if it means I had to live in a hut in the beach, on the beach, in a hut on the beach. What am I in? Bitcoin, no cash flow. Precious metals, no cash flow. Fiat, no cash flow. And I'm saying, get out of cash flow. It hurts my heart to say that because I love cash flow. But we are in a multi-decade debt bubble. And the things that bubble most in a debt bubble are the things that produce cash flow. If I can borrow $1 billion and then go and buy real estate and the rent pay me and I can pay off my debt and then go and borrow more billions of dollars, I can keep borrowing and keep going. It goes round and round and round. And as they print money and the debt bubble explodes, the things with cash flow explode the most in price and they get the most bubblicious. This bubble gets decimated more than any. That's why being over here is relative safety, and then we can go from here. So, all right, what predictions? What's going to happen? Well, last year I said 3 things were going to happen, but 2 of them have already happened. 1, interest rates will go down. When there's a crash, and they did it with COVID, March 2020, COVID hits, everything crashed. First thing you do, you put interest rates down. Typically, you put interest rates down about 3%. You go from 7% to 4%. That's enough to kickstart the economy, and you start building back up. The recovery was so weak because everything is so broken and so destroyed that after 12 years of recovery, they'd only got the interest rates up to 2.25%. They couldn't put it down anymore to zero. It went to zero, Europe did negative, America chose not to. The second thing they were forced into this, bailouts. That's all your stimulus packages. Every single country in the world is doing it, printing trillions and trillions of dollars. It's helicopter money. Yeah, $600 to every single citizen, universal basic income. Here, my buddies, corporations have trillions of dollars. Just helicopter money, just printing it and throwing it out, trying to get it. That is the bailouts. And then the big one that I predicted that is coming but has not yet come is the bail-in. For those of you who are not familiar with the bail-in model, 2013, it was tried in a little Mediterranean country called Cyprus, but part of the European Union. And there's a banking crisis. One day, a Saturday in Cyprus, the two biggest banks come out and announce they're both insolvent. For the next 3 weeks on the island of Cyprus, all ATMs, no cash is dispensed. All banks are closed. There is no cash anywhere to be found. They're negotiating with the European Central Bank. They're asking for a bailout. The European Central Bank says, listen, we're going to put in some money for you, try and save you, but you got to do a bail-in as well. What happened was when the banks opened 3 weeks later, everyone's account chopped in half. You had $1 million in the bank, boom, you only got $500,000 net. Everyone's account gets chopped in half in a bail-in. Bail-out is when the taxpayer gives the money to the bank, the depositors are whole. Bail-in is when the depositors get screwed, the taxpayers are whole. What you can be sure of is the bankers aren't going broke. You know that's not going to happen. Either the taxpayers or the depositors get stuck with the bill, not the banks, for sure. And this is what has happened. If you read their summaries after this 2014, 2015, the G20 summit, they liked this idea. They recognized it as an emergency backstop, and all the countries in the world changed their laws so that they can do bail-ins, that the laws are already on the books. I think a bail-in is absolutely inevitable. And I believe that I think it's going to happen this year. Most likely in Europe. Could be Spain, Italy, Germany, maybe Deutsche Bank. Some major bank is going to crumble somewhere in the world, somewhere in the first world. And when that happens, when people realize their bank accounts can get chopped in half, Bitcoin and precious metals is going to go parabolic. Parabolic. And I believe it's going to happen this year. But here's the part that makes me super sad. The part that makes me super sad is that even the people who do the right thing and get in these categories, I think the vast majority of them, probably over 90%, are still going to get wiped out. Why? Well, let's say you do the right thing. You put your money in the bank, you're not in the stock market. The stock market gets smashed by 50%. Ha-ha, you're sitting on the sidelines. You didn't get smashed. But the banks go down and your bank account gets chopped in half. Well, what was the point of not getting smashed in half over here if your bank account got chopped in half? Bail-ins are going to happen all over the world, and they might happen in a coordinated effort. The two biggest banks on the same day in Cyprus, that's a coordinated effort. And I think we'll see a coordinated effort, actually, but even between America and the ECB, where several banks from both of those places, the ones they're going to choose to sacrifice, they all get declared insolvent the same day. Depositors get wrecked. I think that could absolutely happen. But precious metals, you think it's as simple as calling up your broker or logging into a TD Ameritrade or whatever the thing is and you just go buy gold? It's not. If you buy gold that way, you are going to get wrecked. Same with Coinbase. You call up Kraken, you call up Bitcoin. So you call up Kraken, you call up Coinbase. If you hold your Bitcoin in that way, you are going to get destroyed. So even when you do the right things, you're still going to get destroyed. That's the part that breaks my heart. I can talk for days and days on each and one of these about how to hold them specifically so that you don't get wrecked. In fact, I've got a specific strategy here for cash. Check this out. You've got cash, right? You want to earn an interest rate on it. Well, I can show you how to earn 5%. You give it to you lend it to somebody on the condition that they give you twice as much in gold. So, okay, I'm going to lend you $50,000. You're going to give me 5% interest, but you've got to give me $100,000 in gold to hold as security before I lend you this money. And there's services out there that can do this for you, and it can introduce you to those. That's just one example of how to get great returns, much safer than any traditional way, and you're outside the banking system. I've got equivalent for all these things so that you're outside of the system. And that way, because when the things crash, just like in 2008, you lose Lehman Brothers, you lose AIG, you lose critical infrastructure. And the number of parties between you and your money, be it a bank, or be it the stock market, or be whatever. There's all those parties, they can go insolvent and things can get sideways. You can get locked out of your money for a very long time. So not only do we want to be in the right asset classes, we want to be in them in a way that's going to be there so that we can catapult our wealth and be there to buy our financial freedom when everybody else is crying in their Cheerios. And so with that in mind, I would like to invite you guys to join the Success Council. Dan, go ahead, put up that on the PowerPoint for them so they can see it. I'm going to sit down here at the desk so I can go through the PowerPoint and I'll explain what we do here at the Success Council. Success Council members enjoy access to our private system of asset management that will put your assets on the right side of the great wealth transfer. It is a step-by-step blueprint to empower you to take complete control of your financial destiny. We teach you everything you need to know to take the simple steps to protect and multiply your wealth in the upcoming crash. To do that, our members-only area is laid out in easy-to-digest sections so you can go straight to the part that you are interested in at any given time. And you can find out for yourself absolutely risk-free just how powerful all this information is, but I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. First, I want to tell you about some of the things you will receive inside the Success Council members area that we just simply did not have time to cover during this training. Our first section and flagship product is on gold and silver precious metals investing. In this section, we begin with a breakdown of the current financial system. Once armed with this information, you will have the knowledge to place yourself and your assets out of harm's way for absolute peace of mind. People always ask, why are my predictions so accurate? The answer is, my understanding of the system is so accurate that it makes it like child's play to predict. Well, I teach you so that you have that skill too. How to buy and store precious metals the right way, the safe way, so you can sleep at night and not be worried sick in a year or two if you are going to lose it all. I will teach you all the risks of owning precious metals and how to mitigate them so you don't have any stress. It is sad, but I believe over 87% of precious metals investors will have their gold taken off of them because they did not buy and store it the right way. Don't let that happen to you. We have interviews with experts like David Morgan and G. Edward Griffin so you can hear it right from the horse's mouth. How to recession-proof your retirement plan so you have nothing to worry about. How to generate cash flow from your precious metals investment. No one teaches this, but it's dead easy to increase your gold returns by implementing this. My personal contacts and cheat sheet of who I use to buy and store my gold. This is like a Rolodex of the who is trustworthy people in this industry. Who can you trust with your metals? Know once and for all. This is huge, especially because once things start to get shaky, only a handful of reputable dealers will actually do what they promise in both protecting and handing over your metals. You will learn how to easily, legally, safely, and in a tax-advantaged way, move your retirement funds into a self-managed retirement fund. This will allow you to hold precious metals, cash, Bitcoin, stocks, and real estate all in your retirement fund. I'll show you this so that you can have the peace of mind to manage your retirement funds along with your savings. Plus, there are loads of underground strategies to make big bucks, like the strategy to get the banks to go to work for you to get free silver bullion. So don't think you need a lot of money to take advantage of the Success Council membership. You don't. We will teach you how to pick up free silver right out of your local bank legally. The next section, Cash Bonanza. It's all about how to get great returns on your cash the safest way possible so you can rely on that money even when banks and brokerage houses are going belly up left and right. I'll teach you one strategy that you can easily earn 20 times a higher return that you can by leaving it in the bank. And in my opinion, it's 20 times safer as well. I'll teach you another strategy where the worst possible outcome is you will earn 10 to 14% interest on your cash. In this amazing strategy, you actually hope it all goes belly up and you get an even higher return, sometimes 10 times higher. These are both killer strategies, and I don't know anybody else who teaches them. But best of all, they are completely removed from the banking and finance systems. Even if every bank and every brokerage house and every insurance company on the planet went bankrupt, your money would still be protected and available to you as promised when you need it at the beginning of phase 3. You are going to sleep like a baby knowing that your money is 100% secure no matter how bad the crisis gets. If you remember the images when Enron went broke and Lehman went broke and all these people that cried as they realized their savings and retirements vanished. Their nest eggs literally disappeared. It breaks my heart to say this, it really does, but we are going to see a lot more of that in the coming crisis. Retirement funds will disappear overnight, but it doesn't have to be you. These two strategies will allow you not to be affected in any way, even if a financial Armageddon hits. What price tag do you put on that level of peace of mind? Any fear or trepidation about what might happen will melt away once you understand these two strategies. Our next section is Bitcoin. It's actually two whole products here in one. First, the famed Bitcoin Starter Kit. In the Starter Kit, you will learn how to quickly and easily create a Bitcoin wallet in under 60 seconds, helping you safely hold and protect your coins. How to buy Bitcoins in just a day. By the way, you can start with as little as $1. How to sell Bitcoin so you can cash in your profits along the way. How to trade Bitcoin so you can purchase your everyday items with it. How to store Bitcoin safely. How to accept Bitcoin for payment for your goods and services, opening up your personal business to a whole new world of Bitcoin consumers. And best security practices. Security is actually one of the most important aspects of Bitcoin and one of the most understood. The Bitcoin Starter Kit will give you step-by-step instructions on best practices to keeping your Bitcoin safe. Next, we have Bitcoin Mastery. This is the really important stuff. It goes into the full discussions of Bitcoin's philosophy. It evaluates its strengths, weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. We dive deep into the economics of Bitcoin. Who will benefit? Or what will the adoption curve look like? What will drive price? What will drive innovation? How will governments react? And what are the warning signs you need to be aware of when investing in Bitcoin? All of these questions will be answered. We even interview some of the original players in the Bitcoin world and find out where Bitcoin has been and where it is going. These guys are the living proof that Bitcoin can make multimillionaires in just months. True rags to riches stories. Their insight and discussion of the highly volatile Bitcoin world is priceless. And of course, you get my predictions, and I let you know when I'm buying and selling along the way. So these three asset classes, precious metals, cash, and Bitcoin, I believe should be in everyone's arsenal right now. I would suggest it should be the majority, but even if it's only a portion of your wealth, I think you are mad not to have these items stored away safely in the current climate. Taking this step represents you declaring that you will be on the right side of the great wealth transfer, that you will seize the greatest opportunity of your lifetime to create complete and utter financial freedom for you, your family, and generations to come. So what is the value of this wealth of information? The precious metals section alone is our flagship product and contains way more than just precious metals. It has the models that are key to predicting what might transpire in the near future. It has the contacts and tips on liberating your retirement funds into a self-directed retirement account. And in addition to all of the underground strategies to make cash flow from your metals and buy and store them in such a way that they will be there after the crash. You can easily pay over $1,000 for trainings just like this. In the Cash Bonanza, we have two killer strategies that gets your cash outside of the banking system and making great returns. The peace of mind you get from this is priceless, and quite frankly, I don't know anybody else teaching this. You simply can't get this information from any other places, so I have no idea what this is worth. I believe it's worth thousands, but let's just keep it conservative and say $500. The Bitcoin Mastery and Bitcoin Starter Kit have been responsible for making multiple millions of dollars for my students, and I believe there is plenty more to come. In fact, I just had a call just the other day. It was from who is now a friend of mine. But when I first met him in 2013, one of the first conversation we had was about Bitcoin. I told him about it and I sold him on it. He was a very successful business person, just making just boatloads of cash, didn't know what to do with it. And at the time, he and his business partner, who I also met, they just were throwing money at stuff. And they just threw $100,000 here and $100,000 there and $100,000 at this idea. And I just spoke to him the other day and he said all of the other ideas are all worthless now. But because of you, we put $100,000 into Bitcoin back in 2013, and it's now worth over $5 million, taking care of all of the losses of those other ideas from other people that they took. So that's from one person. And I spoke to them and I said, here's the access to the members area, go and follow this information. And they did. I didn't even know they did until I spoke to them more recently. So let me get back to my notes here. The value of that information plus my buy and sell recommendations, I'm going to be super conservative here and say it's worth over $1,000 on its own. And I think that's crazy conservative, but there you go. The total value of all this, guys, is over $2,500. But you're not going to pay anything like that today. And stay tuned because I'm going to sweeten the deal considerably. But I know there are many of you already chomping at the bit to get involved and get immediate access. So I promised you are not going to pay $2,500 today. You're not even going to pay $2,000 and you're not going to pay $1,000. Today, you can get immediate access to the entire wealth creation system for just $497. And to make it an absolute no-brainer, we have a payment option as well, and that's 3 monthly payments of $197. Dan, go ahead, put up the add to cart buttons, please. You should see the buttons appear beside and below this presentation, guys. So please go ahead and click on one of these add to cart buttons right now and secure your spot. Remember, this is the key to going from where you are financially to where you want to be. You can click that button now and you will still be able to see and hear me while you secure your membership. So go ahead and do that now. Oh, and by the way, if you step up and make this investment in yourself, I've made it an absolute no-lose situation for you. Your membership today comes with a 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee. So you get to try it out. Go through the material. See if it is everything I promised. Just see if it's for you. And if for any reason you think it is not, you can simply email us and within 60 days we will rush you a full refund. There is absolutely nothing to lose. It is a risk-free trial for you, so go ahead and click that add to cart button and in the next few minutes you will be on your way to taking advantage of the great wealth transfer that is approaching us. Remember, I only do this once a year, and if you miss it this year, you'll have to wait a whole 12 months to get another chance. You don't want to take that chance, believe me, because we may not have a year left. The stakes are simply too high. Go ahead and click that add to cart button now. We would love to have you as a member of the Success Council. But I'm not finished yet because I did promise you that I would sweeten the deal, didn't I? And here is what I've decided to do. I'm a big believer that successful people snatch up opportunities when they are presented to them, and fast movers are exactly the type of people I like to help. So I have a few fast action bonuses for people that act right now. Dan, if you could go ahead, set the timer for 10 minutes, please. Put it up so people can see it. Now, for those of you who have already secured your membership, or will before that timer counts down, I'm going to include some unbelievable fast action bonuses. Here they are. Fast action bonus number 1, stock market success. I've created a brand new section that will teach you how to use the stock market to multiply your wealth in the coming crisis. I go into 3 tools to achieve exactly that. They're puts, shorts, and inverse ETFs. I'll explain what each of these tools are and how you can implement them. Now, I do want to warn you, this is an advanced strategy and involves a higher risk than the other investments we have discussed before, but it does represent a way to multiply your wealth many times over during phase 2 when everyone else is losing their shirts. This can really set you up for phase 3 in a gigantic way, but it is for advanced users only and should only be done with a small portion of your wealth. I'll also update this section in phase 3 with my high dividend paying stock that I'll be purchasing at that time. Its value is $297. Fast action bonus number 2, real estate riches. I'll be giving away all my secrets as to why I can get such crazy high rents. I'll walk you through the deals I am doing and why I'm doing them, and I will teach you the no money down secrets and where to find the best deals. I will show you the secret tax subsidies that Uncle Sam will give you to make all your investments that much more lucrative that hardly anybody else know about. This will massively increase your cash on cash flow investment skills, so your financial freedom will be that much closer. In fact, I have a student that is saving hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax in their other non-real estate businesses because they are able to create such huge tax incentives on their real estate profits that if they can flow that through and cancel out their taxable income on their other businesses. The tax savings from real estate are ginormous, and it's huge. These skills are going to massively increase your cash on cash flow investment skills. So your financial freedom will be that much closer. Because remember the formula on the whiteboard? The cost of your financial freedom will plummet as your skills increase so that you can do higher cash on cash flow investments. So learning this will magically bring retirement and financial freedom within your grasp when you learn these skills. I'm going to add a lot more to this section in the coming years as well, just so you know, and you're going to get all that included, those updates. The value of real estate riches is $997. Fast action bonus number 3, safety and security through internationalization. We will show you the latest on how to internationalize yourself to protect yourself from your government if they begin to steal wealth or freedom from their citizens. Inside, we help you create alternatives and show you how to get a second passport, where to set up your businesses, safe alternative places to live, suggested countries, communities, and jurisdictions, and how to get your money across borders and circumvent the coming capital controls by beating them before they are even put in place. The value of the safety and security through internationalization section is $197. And fast action bonus number 4, preparedness must-dos. I mentioned plenty of businesses will go broke, and that might include critical infrastructure like support. Did you know that any given city only has enough food in its grocery stores at any one time to feed its citizens for 8 hours? Any disruptions could cause crazy scenes like Hurricane Katrina caused in New Orleans. So we also teach you how to survive exactly where you are in case basic services like food, water, and transportation become scarce. We go into topics like how to get and prepare food, it's super cheap and super simple, food storage, weapons and ammunition, and the necessary supplies that you would never even have considered. Its value is $197. All of these 4 fast action bonuses are yours free today when you purchase Success Council membership right now. The bonuses alone represent over $1,700 in value for a grand total of $4,200. Again, you are not going to find this offer anywhere else. I'm making it to you now purely because you've already indicated you're someone who is serious about taking control of your financial destiny. If you miss out on it now, you won't have another opportunity for a whole 12 months, and that is just too big a risk right now. It's people like you who are going to set an example for others on the importance of preparing for what's coming, the importance of shielding what you already have and positioning yourself to profit and grow your net worth right when the time is ripe. You are someone who understands what is coming, and I don't want anything to stop you and hold you back from getting your hands on the incredibly valuable information that you're going to get access to in just a few minutes as a Success Council member. It is time to step up and claim your financial freedom that you deserve, but no one can do it for you. You have to take the step and claim it for yourself. So go ahead and click on the Add to Cart button right now. You have nothing to lose thanks to our 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee. And with our payment plan, absolutely everyone can afford this investment in themselves. Guys, this is a tremendous opportunity. I just can't recommend this stuff enough. Dan, let me put this down again and send the camera back to me and we'll do some of these questions. Okay, so we've got some good questions here. Just before we get to them, I think it's a critically important thing to do to ask yourself, look, what is your best and worst case scenario in all of this? Like, let's go ahead and take the worst case scenario first. What is the worst thing that can possibly happen here with you if you join Success Council right now? All right? Well, you can pay the fee, the one-time fee, get lifetime access to all the thing and updated information, all the things. And I don't know, let's say I'm a crook, and I rob you, and I grow off to and want to live in the Bahamas and don't give you anything, and you've lost $497. All right? That's probably the worst case scenario. But in reality, I don't think you believe that. I've been around for too long and have too good a reputation for that, so I don't think you're thinking that. So really, the worst case scenario is that maybe you waste a little bit of time, because there is a 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee. So the worst case scenario that possibly happens is that you waste a little bit of your time watching the information and you don't like it and get a refund. So zero cost and waste a little bit of your time. That's it. That's the worst case scenario. Okay, let's look at the best case scenario. What, like, if your wildest fantasies were exceeded, what could possibly happen? Well, in a very clear and easy to digest format, you got the keys to the kingdom. You got the education that allowed you to go from where you are financially to where you want to be, to massively skyrocket your wealth, to propel yourself out of that rut and take a quantum leap in your wealth creation strategies and abilities and actual dollars in the bank so that your wealth absolutely explodes. If they're the two scenarios, I'm rolling the dice. I'm seeing what's happening here. That's what I do. It's fascinating. I a new girlfriend, lovely girl from Sweden, and I'm coming to learn that Sweden is a very risk-adverse culture, and a very conformist one. If there's any Swedes here, I hope they don't take offense to that, but I think Sweden is a very conformist environment. And she calls me a honey badger, and we say that she's in honey badger training, because I think just when you look at these situations, the possible upside and the possible downside, to me, it's just so obvious that what needs to be done, but I know people come from different cultures, different scenarios, different upbringings, and some people are just horrifically risk adverse. If there's 1% chance something won't work, they won't do it. And I got to tell you, breaking through that fear of failure, breaking through, oh my God, what if I make a mistake? I got to tell you, the most successful people in the world, over and over again, they're the ones who make the most amount of mistakes. Precisely because they just get past this thing of you have to get past it of the fear of failure, of the fear of making a mistake. The risk reward on this opportunity is just absolutely mind-blowing and out of control. Absolutely mind-blowing. And so if you're one of those people who are on the fence and struggling, I sympathize with you. I have someone here in the house who has that struggle, and I got to tell you, the number one thing to your success is breaking through those conditionings. You just got to break through them, and this is an unbelievably safe environment to test that theory and to practice that skill set, because that being able to assess the risk and choosing when to take risks and choosing when it's safe to do so, that is a muscle. You got to build that muscle. You got to build that muscle. And so I highly recommend just do it. Go ahead, click the add to cart button and do that right now, because the risk reward is so great. And then you ask yourself the question, well, if not now, then when? When are you going to be the person who's like, okay, I got to do something. Because I got to tell you, in the next year or two, you're either going to get very rich or very poor. There's going to be no in between, right? This is going to be the biggest wealth transfer the world has ever seen. And remember, wealth will not be created nor destroyed, right? It will not be created nor destroyed. The wealth of many will flow to the wealth of a few who have positioned themselves in front of what is happening. So it's not being risk adverse to do something. It's being extremely risky to do nothing. So the question becomes, if not now, then when? If you're not going to take the action now, when are you going to do it? Because I got to tell you, the window of opportunity is shutting. I actually thought it would have happened more completely, would be further along this time last year. When I did this presentation, I thought the stock market would have crashed already, real estate would have crashed. We're lucky. You missed this, like in March of 2020, the price of Bitcoin was $4,000. You missed the first 10x of Bitcoin. All right, but Bitcoin has a lot further to go. I'm thoroughly convinced it will be between $300,000 to $500,000 later on this year, and we've got the other asset classes to collapse. Right? It was extremely risky not being in Bitcoin in the last year, but compared to the next 12 months, not even close, because you didn't get destroyed being in not Bitcoin. You're going to get destroyed being in not Bitcoin, and you're going to get have your wealth absolutely explode being in Bitcoin, precious metals, and the other things that I'm suggesting, in my opinion. In my opinion. All right, guys, so do yourself a massive favor. Go ahead, click that add to cart button. The risk is virtually zero, a little bit of your time, and it can completely change your life. Completely. All right, let's go ahead and get to the questions here. Question number one, we have, I live in England/Australia. Well, where do you live? England or Australia? Oh, okay, sorry. It was two different people asking the same question, so you amalgamated the questions. Okay, so I live in England/Australia/anywhere else overseas. Is the information in the Success Council appropriate for British people, or is it US focused? Yeah, so listen, everything I teach you is useful for people all over the world. And that's in the real estate section, that's in the stock market section, it's in the gold section, it's in the history of money section, it's in the Bitcoin section. Many of the things I teach are about doing things outside of your jurisdiction for added security. And so look, because I live in the US, there might be a little like tax benefit trick, something that I know, and I'll share with you as I go along. But by and large, virtually every single thing in the Success Council membership is totally geared up for international people. No matter where you live, it is appropriate for you. So that's a great question. Are there any ongoing fees or other costs? Upsells for even better information after I buy with the really good stuff, or anything like that? Tell me what I'm really in for here is the question. That's a great question. The answer is no. This is a one-time fee, or if you do the payment plan, three smaller payments. It's a one-time fee for a lifetime membership, and that includes future updates. I'm not going to sell you any more information. After this, there's no upsells to buy the really good information. I'm not holding anything back. I'll give you everything you need to succeed and go and do this for yourself. I will say, if you want, you can, at a later time, become part of a VIP club where I'll go and do it all for you. I think I can add a tremendous amount of value by actually bringing you those 250 apartments where we buy at 33% discount, where the whole thing's just got a bow in it and fine. I'm going to find those deals, and if you want to be part of it with me, you can be part of the VI club, and I'll do that. But if you want to be empowered to do this yourself and be like that guy in Florida, go and buy 8 houses and go and buy Bitcoin now, and go and do all that stuff, all that stuff, I'm going to teach you all of that stuff. You can do all that stuff. Let's see. How long until the next crash? It's a great question. I'm surprised we lasted this long, but here is what I will say. It is extremely advantageous for them. Well, let's say I'll try and keep it simple. For Biden, for it to happen quickly. If this crash doesn't happen for a couple of years, now it's Biden's fault. If it happens in the next 6 months, next 12 months, that's Trump's fault. He was the president. We told you this would happen. It must be Trump's fault, right? So I think it's extremely advantageous for them for this to happen sooner rather than later. And I don't know if you share my views, but they have a lot more control over these things than what might appear. I made several predictions, which just completely based on this model of the world, which is I don't think the crash will happen in Trump's term. There's two possibilities. It could because they wanted to make him look bad, but they use these crises to bring in draconian laws. Like, for example, after 9/11, they brought in the Patriot Act. They use these things. When this crash happens, they're going to use this to bring in digital currencies, central bank-backed digital currencies. They're going to use this crisis, and they didn't want Trump at the helm, so he had to go before the crisis. All right, but there was a possibility they needed the crisis to get rid of him. It turns out they had other mechanisms of doing that. Let's just leave that for the giggles. All right, so now it's extremely advantageous to do this sooner rather than later because it'll be easier to blame on him. So I think it's going to happen very, very soon. I think we're in for a really big shock really, really soon. Are there any altcoins that you are endorsing at the moment? The answer is yes. So I'll just give you my heads up. And I talk about this a lot and I update it a lot depending on where the cycle is. And oh my God, oh my God, I've forgotten something. Massive, 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 massive. So, it actually ties into the question that somebody just asked. How did I not think of it back then? I have a cryptocurrency trading course. Okay, and to give you an idea, so I said you'll get free updates. The last time I did this webinar, I didn't have this course. I hadn't made it. The crypto trading course, I didn't have it. But I built it and everybody who was a previous customer got it. They just all got it for free, right? What's this worth? Thousands of dollars, I don't know. I had the videos all done. After you purchase, it was gonna be an upsell. It was gonna be an upsell, and for $1,000, I was going to sell my crypto trading course, selling Bitcoin for a Polkadot, selling Bitcoin for a link, back and forth. I was going to sell this for $1,000. I changed my mind a couple of days ago. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to give it as part of the course. And I haven't updated the graphics, so it wasn't in the PowerPoint. I have a complete cryptocurrency trading course, straight from beginners, from the very beginning. What a candle is, what prices are, how to draw a trend line. I mean, from the basics ground up. It is an outstanding course about how to trade crypto. And it's included over $1,000 of values. You get that for free. Another thing I just totally forgot about. Guys, I'm committed to just saving as many of the middle class as possible. That's what I want. I've got enough money. I have to charge or else I get inundated with people who waste time. So I have to charge some money. I'm sorry about that. I'd love to give it away for free. But otherwise, just everyone joins. People who are just tire kickers, wasting time, ask 10,000 questions. I always know, it happens every single time. The top 2, 3, 4 people who ask the most amount of questions, and they're asking questions and they sound like real questions and I'm answering it, but the whole time I'm telling myself, these people have psychological issues, that they're pushing away success. I can tell with the amount of minutia questions they're asking because they're just looking for excuses to not act. The top 2 or 3 people who ask the most amount of questions and take up the most amount of my time, they ask for a refund within the 60 days. Day 59, like you can set your alarm by it. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Just take the action and get rich. It's so much better than staying poor and pathetic and hiding from the world by not taking action and looking for every excuse to stand still. Don't be that guy. If I gave it away for free, I'd have 10,000 of those guys. At this price point, I can deal with 2 of you. That's what, otherwise I'd love to just give this away for free. Honestly, I don't care about it. I don't need the money, but you need the information. I can't tell you how much you need the information. And I can't believe over $1,000 of value with a crypto trading course. Go ahead, click that add to cart button now. The amount of value is absolutely ridiculous. The cost is trivial, and it's all completely backed with a money back guarantee. Go ahead and give it a shot. Sorry, the question that triggered that whole side rant. Are there any altcoins you are endorsing at the moment? There are, and they're the big ones. I do. And we're coming into an altcoin season right now, so there's some lower cap ones that are worth speculating on. But just as a heads up, Ethereum for sure. I like Ethereum. I like Chainlink. I like Polkadot. I like Cardano. I like all 4 of those guys. I have positions in all of them. And so they're the altcoins that I'm recommending at the moment. And I'll be giving a heads up soon of some lower cap stuff that I'm jumping into just with small amounts of money that I think might go up 100x from here. Okay? So here, all right, guys. Oh, Dan, where's the clock? Okay, guys, Dan, go ahead, put the clock back up. I spoke too much. That's my turn. The clock ran out, but that's not your fault. I've been jibber-jabbing over here and taking way too long to explain things. Go ahead, put another 5 minutes on the clock. Give them another chance, guys. You get all of those bonuses, including the crypto trading course. All of those bonuses come when you go ahead and take action now. So please go ahead and do that. And what are we going to do from here? Yeah, guys, it's just so important. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got, right? If you want to make that change, if you want to create that quantum leap, if you want things to drastically change for you, here is your opportunity. Go ahead and click the add to cart button, get involved. Dan, let's throw up the PowerPoint. We'll do one more recap before we do this. Guys, go ahead and click add to cart before that clock runs out. Let's do this. So guys, here is what you receive instant access to today when you join. You get precious metals investing. It is going to lift the veil and reveal the secrets of the world of government and banking so you know how the world really works. This will give you powerful insights so you can make smart moves confidently. You'll also learn the underground strategies to buy and hold precious metals so they are safe after the crash. It is valued at $1,000. Cash Bonanza. Learn 2 epic strategies to earn great returns outside of the banking system. So even if there is a giant banking collapse, you will be safe and have peace of mind. It's valued at $500. Bitcoin Mastery and Bitcoin Starter Kit is the tool set that has made millions for our customers. Everything you need to become a master of Bitcoin, plus my future predictions and notifications when I'm buying and selling. That's valued at $1,000. Stock market success. Learn how to profit from the crash and multiply your wealth when everyone else is crying from the devastation, valued at $297. Real estate riches. Learn how to create massive tax advantages that can eliminate your taxes entirely, even from your non-real estate businesses and jobs like several of my students have done. Just think how much faster your wealth would grow if you got to keep all of your income. Plus, learn how to massively increase your cash flow from real estate investments using these tried and true techniques. Real Estate Riches is an absolute bargain at $997. Safety and security through internationalization. Learn how to diversify your assets across multiple jurisdictions just in case the worst happens at home for the ultimate peace of mind. Its value is $197. And preparedness must-dos. Learn the basics of protecting your family and being self-sufficient, at least for a little while. Give yourself that breathing room to take action just in case of a natural disaster or a financial disaster. Its value is $197. All of that, guys, it adds up to $4,200 in value. Yours for an incredibly low investment of just $497 or 3 monthly payments of $197. So go ahead and click the Add to Cart button right now. You have until that clock runs out, and then this deal will vanish forever. Take that first step now, because if you don't, life will get in the way and you will miss your chance to seize the greatest opportunity of your lifetime to create legacy wealth and true financial freedom. So click that Add to Cart button now. Dan, please bring the camera back up. So guys, that's all for us today. I hope you have had an amazing time. I've had an absolute ball. I love this stuff. I love teaching. And thank you so much for being here. I hope you decided to become a Success Council member. Right below this presentation, you'll see the Add to Cart buttons. Go ahead and click them. Join us. Give it a try. It is absolutely risk-free. This is a risk-free proposition. There is a money-back guarantee on this. You can go ahead and click that button right now, and I hope to see you inside the members area. Take care.